welcome back to Nationals franchise here on MLB The Show 23. Before we truly hop into the offseason, if you missed it, we are World Series champions. And now a lot of questions are up in the air. Like Ryan Mountcastle, who won playoff and World Series MVP, had a hell of a year, won a Golden Glove. He is now a free agent. We're going to let him walk at 31 years old. Maybe we can sign him on a cheap deal, but after the year that he had, he's probably going to want a bag, and rightfully so. I think our biggest question is arms. We know Dylan Lesko is going to be back, at least for another year. A lot more years of arbitration. Only 24 years old. Was a Cy Young contender. Jesus Luzardo wasn't too terrible as our ace. The ERA could have been a lot lower, but hey, I'm not going to complain too much about it. 30 years old. He's got 1 year left. Will he regress? We'll see. Gavin Stone did not play himself back. I think we're going to trade him. We're going to try to find someone else. He has not lived up to our expectations. He's just not who we thought we were. Andrew Hudson, he kind of hasn't shown really anything. I think we know who he is, a bullpen guy. But Jay Gardner is interesting. He showed promise. Maybe he can take that next leap in 2028. But then we have a lot of young pitchers, like Todd Ortiz, 20 years old, first round pick, couple of years removed, 2 years removed. Is really K per 9's great. I don't like that his control is that great, but hey, maybe he can take that next leap. Greg McGowan, the first round pick a year ago, or 2 years now, only 19 years old. I think he still needs improvement, but hey, maybe those guys, or Ernesto, or Gustavo, who did pitch one game last year, and he did give up a run. So his ERA is kind of high because he only had 1 inning, but still, I think he's very promising as well. So could Gustavo, could Todd Ortiz, Greg McGowan, or Ernesto step up as the 3 through 5? Can Jay Gardner make it? Because he's probably going to be starter number 3. So it's probably going to be Luzardo and Lesko, and then Jay Gardner. And then, other than that, it's up in the air for pitchers. We're going to let Mitch Keller walk. He did pretty solid, but I think we're going to let him walk. Gavin Stone, we're going to trade. Andrew Hudson, I think we know that he's just a bullpen guy. So, I completely forgot about Quentin Chambers, who actually did very well as well. So we got a lot of young pitchers coming up. And then in terms of bullpen, Tanner's a free agent. Is Clark Schmidt. We have Clark Schmidt, Jordan Hicks, Jared Booker. We also have a young Cesar Cedito from the Mariners. He could be called up. Albert Santiago as well. We're going to trade Danny Turner. I think we kind of know who he is. He's a guy that gives up a lot of runs. So he's definitely gone. Closer, Kenju. He kind of showed promise in the postseason. So maybe he could be our full-time closer. But then backup catcher is interesting. Drake Baldwin, who hurt his hand, as we're going to call him up just because. And then we're going to send Robbie Bates down. Robbie Bates did not have a good AAA. Maybe we need to send him down to AA next year. But I like the fact that he has good fielding, pretty good arm, great durability. And powers against righties there. But other than that, he's definitely a work in progress. But Sam Huff really did not impress me at all. So we need a backup catcher for Drake Baldwin. Now, one of the bigger questions is first base. Yes, we're going to maybe re-sign Ryan Mountcastle, but we're probably going to let him walk. He deserves the bag. He did everything that we could in his 2.5 years here in DC. He did everything and more. I just want him. He got his ring. I think he deserves to get his bag. So, I mean, if we want to bring him back, we can. But I think, he deserves the bag. We'll let him walk. We're going to trade Schwarber. I know. He had an MVP. He was runner-up MVP last year. Way better than his MVP year, but he is declining. He is also old, and he's also almost $5 million. We kind of saw a little bit that he's just slowly not the player that he is. I mean, literally, his power against righties is the only positive thing. So we're going to trade him in the offseason. So that means Robert Faulkner, as of right now, is the guy at first. We'll probably send another guy in free agency, but we're going to give him a shot. He actually showed some promise this year. 6 home runs, 15 RBIs, almost 300 coming off the bench. We're going to see the former second overall pick, see what this kid can do at 24 years old. He also had some big moments in the playoffs. We know Miles Dwyer is the second baseman of the future, but Richard Yamaguchi, we might have to call him up as a utility guy and also see if he can play maybe shortstop as well, or just the infield, because he's got a pretty good arm and very good defensively. So he might just be our new utility guy. Third base is a big question. Thomas Geese played solid last year, but he really struggled, really struggled in the postseason where he got benched. Maybe he's a utility guy because he can play the entire infield. And he did play a little bit better as a utility guy, so maybe that's his role. We have also some upcoming young second or third baseman, Phil Watkins, who we traded, I believe, season 1 or season 2 from the Guardians. He did get called up for a little bit in the postseason. That's why he has the .1. But can he make that leap to be the third baseman of the future? Or our first round pick last year, Brandon Bolton, who has a really good arm, really good hit contact. I think his durability is the biggest issue. But at 18 years old, he could be up pretty soon as well. The other big question is Milt Benjamin. His durability is but he's been hurt the last couple of years. He's got a hell of an arm fielding. I've thought about possibly putting him at catcher or third base. But then again, that's such a good arm. You can't leave that out in the outfield. But his durability is the biggest issue. Even though it's 65, he's been banged up. But he's put up great numbers in his 2 years. It's just, can he stay healthy? But then we also have Pete Tutman, who is also there on the rise as a 20-year-old. But then we also have Jonas, who we just drafted, has a lot of potential as well. And Jason Worth. And obviously Elijah Green, we know him. But Evan Carter, are we going to re-sign him? Put him as your utility guy, because he seems pretty solid as well. And then we know Kevin Soriano. How is he going to respond to his MVP season? Look at that vision. I mean, absolutely just killing it. Mason Awar, we got him. But then we also have Peter Reyes, Lee Gleason, who we got picked up, and then Max Stone. But then in terms of staff, are we going to re-sign our staff? But next time will be in the off season. Until next time, you guys have a good one. Peace.